Joseph, your first question, I want you to shed light on sustainability and its impacts as a whole. So we know that sustainability is a top strategic priority for organizations right now. And the progress towards setting a set of global standards or goals have been ramped up for the past 18 months. And HSBC, as an organization, you are committed to sustainability. You've done a lot of initiatives. You've recently launched a guide that you'll explain later. But can you walk us through on what sustainability actually means in the finance and corporate world, and how will this impact consumers and the future?
Thank you, Fatima. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I mean, for HSBC, sustainability is one of the strategic pillars for the future. And there's a sentence I like kind of that defines what sustainability is. It means meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet its needs. It may seem circular, but it's kind of encompasses what sustainability is across the whole economy. So for HSBC, we look at sustainability under three lenses, and you all heard about ESG, the E, the S, and the G. E is the environmental part of this acronym, and you need to ask yourself the question when it comes to the environmental part is, how can you design your sustainability initiatives and exploit natural resources in an energy efficient way while reducing your carbon emissions and pollution waste? It's a very big question. A lot of people are trying to kind of start to find the answers for it. And it's a path that it's not a 1 week, 1 month path. It's a number of years that people are going to undergo this journey. So that's on the E front. On the S front is the social. So again, the question that people have to ask themselves is how you design your policies that promote workforce health and safety, encourage diverse population in your workforce. It offers training and upskilling of your workforce while protecting their privacy, protecting the organization data and IP, and all this should be underpinned by organizations being active participants in the community. So that's the S part of ESG. The G is the governance. How do you ensure you have board independence? How do you ensure your board is diverse? How do you ensure that you're protecting the stakeholder and shareholder rights? How you ensure that the management compensation is fair? And finally, again, underpinned by having the right business ethics to run your business. So HSBC runs a survey on an annual basis, and they've recently released the 2021 survey. And actually, it's available if you're interested. If you go to sustainablefinance.hsbc.com, sustainablefinance.hsbc.com, the survey is there. It has all the details, and there's a number of articles that may be of interest around hydrogen, carbon measurements, and so on and so on. So if anybody's interested, I encourage you to go and visit that site. I want to share some statistics from this survey that may be of interest and show you the pulse of the corporate world. If, from the point of view of the issuer, the corporation that needs money, and from the point of view of the investor, where the investor is looking where to put their money in the future. Mm-hmm. So from a transition point of view, 94% of companies are expected to move away from environmentally and socially challenged business model in the next 5 years. Oh, so that's the whole economy in the next 5 years. From the investor point of view and the way they kind of use now a climate lens to look at where to place their dollars, 50% of corporates that need investor money claim that climate change is already affecting their business, 50%. And last year it was 37%. We expect that number to increase in the years to come. The willingness of companies to establish ESG strategies, 64% of companies says nothing is holding them back to do so. So again, the stakeholders have to rally and then help these organizations. And finally, the last kind of statistic, which relates to kind of the S in the ESG, 50% of organizations strongly agree that investors want them to work harder on issues such as gender and ethnic diversity. Okay, and finally, I would just end the answer to this question by saying the role of HSBC in this world will be first to help support the real economy and the transition to a low carbon, mobilize the capital in order to do so, and lastly, help manage the future risk of transition in a just and fair manner. And that's very important for an organization like HSBC.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I think you beautifully defined what sustainable finance means, and also defined the layers of ESG, because I think it's a bit tricky, the numbers that you've shared. A lot of companies are willing to do it, like you said. We've seen their keenness to kind of put all of these factors and assessments within their practices and business practices. But it's also, where do they see the money go? It's not a definite thing that they're going to see now. Success for, climate change, carbon, all of that is something that's going to happen years from now. So it's hard for companies to kind of be convinced to assess and put these practices from now.